Imagine being a top-tier disciple in a celestial sect, living your best life. Our boy Shangguan thinks he's finally the boss now that the elders are away. But his peace is nuked when he hears a catastrophe is about to hit the mountain. He literally faints from the pure stress of it all. Meet our girl Wai Kai-yu, the cutest little nugget with a seriously dangerous secret. She doesn't know her own strength and accidentally splits a mountain in half while playing. Her brother wakes up in a cold sweat, realizing he needs to stop her before she levels the continent. Meanwhile, a mysterious and icy demon beauty is summoned into the woods. Our heroine is still hunting for a pet and thinks she's found a winner. She launches a high-level talisman with absolutely zero and it smacks the gorgeous stranger right in the face. Fast forward 3 days and the poor victim is still out cold in the guest room. Our heroine is drowning in guilt, watching over the girl she accidentally lobotomized. When the stranger finally opens her eyes, our nugget starts apologizing at 100 miles per hour. But instead of a fight, the mysterious lady demands a contract right then and there. She pins our poor heroine against the wall with a savage, hungry look. Before anyone can react, she goes in for a total surprise kiss. Our girl is spiraling in absolute chaos because apparently that's how you sign a demon contract. The gossip mill is in full swing as the disciples wonder why their little sister brought home a lady who keeps making holes in the roof. Our girl checks the room, but the mysterious guest has seemingly vanished into thin air. Just kidding, she's actually just losing a fight with her own shirt, looking like a total chaotic mess. Once she's finally dressed, the atmosphere shifts as she reveals her true identity, Jekaterina, the literal devil from the glaciated lands. Before our heroine can even process that, the devil demands a contract, and the resulting shockwave literally blows the roof off the building again. Meanwhile, the sect master is having a crisis of his own, not because of demons, but because he's losing all his money in a high-stakes mahjong game. He's sweating bullets knowing his top disciple will kill him, so he fakes a divine revelation to make a quick getaway. He zooms away at breakneck speeds, only to nearly collide with someone midair while trying to change his luck. It's his star disciple Liu Yi, and the master is terrified his secret gambling habit and misappropriated funds are about to be exposed. He makes a pathetic excuse about a meeting and vanishes before the poor guy can realize the meeting ended hours ago. Back at the sect, the disciples are in a total panic trying to clean up the mess before the eldest brother arrives. They suddenly remember they still have a literal devil living on the premises, and the realization hits them like a ton of bricks. Right on cue, the eldest brother makes his grand, stoic entrance, looking as majestic as ever. While he complains about how boring the other sects are, Ekaterina is just casually vibing on the roof right behind him. The blonde disciple is freaking out over the budget and the extra mouth to feed, so he decides to play a dangerous game of hide the demon. He's doing his absolute best to act natural and lie through his teeth about how organized the sect has been while he was away. He tries to steer his brother away from the classroom, but Ekaterina is just sitting there in plain sight, completely ruining the vibe. The eldest brother finally spots the intruder, and the poor disciple starts sweating bullets as he prepares to confess his sins. But our savage devil doesn't care about the drama. She's just chilling on a floating sword like it's a park bench. Taoist legends say sword flying was actually invented just to spite witches on brooms, and now it's our girl's turn to learn the craft. Xiao Yu gets her hands on a secret manual, though she looks more like a cute little thief than a cultivation master. She heads to the armory and skips the elegant rapiers for the most massive, heavy-duty slab of metal she can find. Her brother claims the extra weight helps with stability, but our heroine looks like she's just lugging around a giant hunk of iron. He teaches her the Big Dipper formation, explaining how to channel her spiritual energy to finally get airborne. But the vibes get weird when the mysterious Ekaterina suddenly appears, casually squatting on the brother's sword like it's her personal taxi. Not to be outshined, Xiao Yu tries to manifest the technique herself, focusing every ounce of her power. The stars literally align in the sky as the formation activates, proving our girl has some serious hidden potential. The guys are impressed by the breathtaking light show, even if the first attempt ends in a bit of a clumsy failure. Xiao Yu refuses to give up, training until she's covered in scratches and dripping with sweat to master the flight. She can't help but think about how bizarre Ekaterina has been lately, stalking her and hiding in the most random places while she tries to go about her day. The tension between them is thick, but as Xiao Yu pushes her limits in the air, her concentration finally snaps. She loses her footing and goes into a terrifying free fall toward the canyon floor. As the world blurs, she's pulled back into a painful memory of her childhood as a lonely kid named Xiao Yu. She was always the outcast, bullied and called a weirdo by the other children just for being different. She spent her youth crying and alone, but this time someone is actually diving to save her. Ekaterina plunges through the clouds, catching our poor heroine in a dramatic, heart-stopping embrace. The secret is finally out as Ekaterina unfurls a pair of massive, majestic black wings to carry them both to safety. The yellow-robed squad is in hot pursuit of a demonic beast, But they've reached the edge of the lawless mountains, a place where rules go to die. The leader is sweating bullets because entering without permission is basically a declaration of war. And to make matters worse, their mission scroll is missing. Turns out our chaotic girl just casually lost it, and now they're terrified of being exposed by a sect that might be small, but is definitely dangerous. The leader decides that since they have 13 people, they can just steamroll the place if anyone tries to stop them. Little do they know, a massive barrier protects the peak, and the man in charge instantly senses their clumsy intrusion. While they're sneaking in, some poor guy is being tied up and absolutely wrecked by a savage red-headed auntie who clearly doesn't do mercy. Back at the temple, the sun is setting and the disciples are getting anxious because their little sister hasn't returned yet. One of them wastes no time and rushes out into the twilight to find her before things get even more chaotic. Up in the clouds, Katia is being carried by her winged demon bestie, desperately trying to beat the darkness. But as they fly, Katia realizes the landscape is literally shifting and warping beneath them. The mountain they were aiming for just pulled a disappearing act and moved somewhere else entirely. They're stuck in a dizzying loop while the cultivators on the ground mistake them for a giant bird circling overhead. The leader is being a total buzzkill, telling his squad to stop looking at the sky and focus on the beast. Exhausted and confused, Katia and her friend realize they're trapped in a high-level illusion and decide to rest until morning. But they aren't as sneaky as they think, as a mysterious white-haired man senses the exact moment the mountain's barrier is breached. The ancient arrays begin to glow with a menacing light, signaling that the real trouble is only just beginning. Back at the sect, the disciples are losing their minds because their siblings have suddenly vanished. The elder brother isn't having it, deciding it's time to hunt down the trespassers before the world starts thinking the divineless sect is a bunch of pushovers. Deep in the forest, a group of sketchy intruders is splitting up, obsessed with capturing a magical beast at any cost. Meanwhile, our girl is casually smashing boulders to bits with her bare hands. She coaxes Katia out of hiding, explaining that she joined the sect just to learn how to control her terrifying strength so she'll stop accidentally hurting people. Our heroine is a total chatterbox, but when Katia stays quiet, she quickly changes the subject to something way cooler, the art of flying. She begs Katia to teach her how to grow wings, and Katia gives a simple, stoic okie. Just like that, Katia sprouts a pair of majestic black wings, leaving our girl completely starstruck. Our poor heroine starts flapping her arms like a maniac, promising to practice until she can finally soar too. But the mood shifts instantly as a wave of negative energy chills the air, sending a shiver down her spine. While our girl heads off to gather some firewood, she senses something dangerous lurking in the shadows. The intruders think they've finally cornered their magical beast, but Katia knows that whoever is approaching definitely doesn't have good intentions. The disciples realize they've been running in circles like headless chickens because of a pesky illusion technique. The elder brother isn't having it and uses a magical weapon to shatter the spell with a dramatic shout. They think they're home free, but a massive glowing blue barrier suddenly surges from the ground. Little do they know, our guy is watching from the shadows, smirking because his traps are way more than just simple illusions. The entire mountain range is now covered in a complex humming formation that spells nothing but trouble. Another group of disciples stops dead in their tracks when one of them feels a bad vibe from the flickering barrier. Showing some rare common sense, they decide to hide in the bushes and wait for someone else to be the guinea pig. Meanwhile, a poor girl is about to become kitty kibble as a massive horned tiger lunges at her. She freezes in terror as the giant paw descends, certain that this is the end of her story. But just as the claws reach her, the formation's power kicks in and teleports her away in the blink of an eye. Our girl is left screaming her lungs out as she's yeeted across the forest, while the other disciples watch in total shock. These clueless guys don't even realize they're walking right into the trap as they step over the glowing lines. Before they can even blink, the movement of the stars formation sends them flying into the sky like Team Rocket. The massive yin-yang seal activates, completely shuffling everyone's positions across the lawless mountains. Our white-haired mastermind remains cool as a cucumber, calmly directing his team through the chaotic spatial maze he just created. Lin Feng is ready with his magical weapon, but our stoic Ice King isn't impressed by his chatter. Meanwhile, the intruders realize the ground beneath them is starting to glow, but their leader is too obsessed with the hunt to notice the trap. Big mistake, because the formation sends them into a dizzying tailspin until they are literally puking in a pathetic pile. Lin Feng tries to act tough, but he ends up getting his face absolutely wrecked in the chaotic scuffle. The goons think they've won now that the magical items are spent, and they're ready to jump our boys with everything they've got. But Lin Feng has zero interest in their surrender, and Zhu King decides it's time to bring down the little hammer of God. With a single cold gesture, a massive bolt of lightning tears through the night sky. The entire mountain shakes as the intruders are struck with enough force to turn them into cartoon skeletons. Zhu King warns that the formation is shifting again, but poor Lin Feng is too busy losing his lunch to keep up with the technicalities. Before he can even catch his breath, A massive, terrifying beast decides he looks like a delicious midnight snack. He's running for his life while Katia wanders into the scene looking completely dazed and confused by the chaos. Deep in the woods, the sect members realize their defensive formation is being triggered by some very unwelcome guests. They know the shifting hexagrams make the terrain a nightmare to navigate, even if some of them are a bit too innocently aggressive. The intruders are shaking in their boots, forced to move forward even though they're crying literal tears of terror. A deafening roar echoes through the trees, and they realize too late that they aren't the hunters anymore, they're the prey. Their leader is fuming, realizing the magical beast is moving way faster than they ever anticipated. Our poor guy is running for his life as a massive beast swipes at him with lethal claws. He barely manages to swap positions, but his favorite outfit is officially ruined, and he's not happy about the fashion disaster. Before he can even catch his breath, the monster is right back on his tail, sending him into a full-blown panic. While the elder brother is busy interrogating the locals, the blonde boy streaks past him like a chaotic comet. He screams for help while a group of disciples lies in wait, ready to spring their master plan. They think they've finally caught the legendary beast and start celebrating their big win. They flex their high-tier magical net, convinced that nothing can escape its silver wires. But the net is shredded in an instant as a mysterious figure descends with effortless grace. Turns out they accidentally trapped their own elder brother, who is definitely not amused by their incompetence. The disciples realize their massive mistake just as our battered hero crawls out of the bushes, looking ready to throw hands. He's absolutely fuming because he survived a monster only to be nearly taken out by his own teammates. Meanwhile, deep in a cave, our girl is doodling on the walls, wondering when her favorite person will finally come back. She remembers the promise they made, but the silence in the cave is starting to feel a lot like a betrayal. She mopes about being lied to until a familiar, pathetic scream echoes through the forest. Her eyes light up as she realizes that her chaotic partner might actually be nearby after all. Deep in the misty woods, our horned beauty tracks a mysterious blue wisp, her eyes sharp and ready for whatever secrets the forest is hiding. Meanwhile, this guy is busy telling tall tales about his heroic deeds, but his growing nose proves he's nothing but a total fraud. His companion isn't amused, especially when they realize there's a much more dangerous girl lurking within the formation. The chatter stops instantly when a massive, glowing-eyed magical beast leaps from the shadows, ready to tear them apart. The disciples scramble to react, desperately calling forth the 7-star chain to bind the creature before they all become monster snacks. The glowing chains slam into the ground, pinning the beast in place, but the struggle is far from over. The leader warns they only have a few minutes to hold the line, completely unaware that a winged queen is judging them from above. Our girl looks down with total disdain, clearly unimpressed by their pathetic attempt at a struggle. She gazes over the massive blue formation lighting up the valley, her dark wings spread wide against the moonlight. To her, this entire setup is nothing but a total eyesore that needs to be deleted immediately. With a cold glare, she summons her own red magical circles, preparing to rain down absolute destruction from the heavens. The sky erupts as beams of light shatter the formation, turning the entire area into a chaotic explosion of fire and debris. The shockwave is so violent that the beast breaks its chains, leaving the poor little sister literally vomiting rainbows from the trauma. As the dust settles, the elder brother demands to know who they offended, and the blonde coward immediately throws his sister under the bus to save his own skin. To save Katia from his brother's suspicion, our boy spins a wild lie, claiming the red-headed beauty is actually just our heroine's new spirit pet. While the brother buys the story, Yu rushes to Katia's side just as a massive, terrifying beast looms in the shadows. The monster lets out a bone-chilling roar, and those sketchy creeps watching from the sidelines are certain our girl is toast. But they clearly underestimated her, because Yu handles the threat with savage grace before pulling Katia into a relieved embrace. Seeing her power, the villains decide that retreating is the only way to keep their heads attached to their shoulders. Too bad for them, they run straight into a mysterious swordsman who is definitely not happy about trash trespassing in his territory. He doesn't even break a sweat while sending them flying, leaving the cowards screaming for mercy that isn't coming. Meanwhile, back at the sect, we find Shifu being his usual chaotic self, sleeping with an official imperial bulletin stuck to his face. His disciples are absolutely disgusted to find the important news is completely unreadable thanks to his messy habits. Back on the trail, the elder brother decides to give our heroine some space to finish her mission, unaware of the drama she's already attracting. Our girl finally arrives at the Huang residence, where a tiny, energetic old man comes rushing out to greet them. He tries to act tough, but the lady of the house immediately shuts him down by dragging him away by his ear like a naughty child. As the old man is sent to timeout, the lady explains that after 30 years of marriage, she's the only one who can handle his tantrums. Yu turns on the charm, telling the lady she looks far too young to be married that long, instantly winning her over and becoming her new favorite little sister. With the lady swooning over her sweetness, our girl and a very grumpy Katia are finally shown to their room for some much-needed rest. The receptionist is being a total buzzkill, telling our girls there are 0 missions for noobs, while a mysterious pretty boy suddenly drops by to cause a distraction. The guy is apparently a hot mess because he immediately loses his scroll, so our duo decides to call it a day and head out into the city. Our heroine is rocking a hilarious mask, wondering what the heck they're supposed to do with their free time now that they're basically unemployed. Her friend suggests a little retail therapy and sightseeing, which gets an immediate enthusiastic double thumbs up from our girl. After a cute date watching fire breathers and eating snacks, they head back to the counter only to find a lady in yellow desperately needing help with a rat demon. This lady is absolutely losing it, clinging to our poor heroine and begging for her home to be saved from the giant rodent. While they deal with the pests, an official announcement is posted for an elite mission to hunt down a rare black snake demon. Over at another sect, the master is being a total lazy bum, napping with the imperial bulletin stuck to his face like a cheap eye mask. His disciples are completely grossed out by the ink-smudged scroll, but they realize a major challenge has been issued to every sect in the land. These handsome brothers consider visiting their little sister, but they decide to let her handle her own business while they focus on the demon hunt. Back with our girl, they arrive at the fancy Huang residence, where a tiny, grumpy old man comes charging out to greet them. He's clearly not impressed by these 2 young immortals, but his wife isn't having any of his attitude and immediately drags him away by the ear. She sends the old man to the corner to think about what he's done, apologizing to the girls for her husband's childish temper. Our girl knows exactly how to work the room, calling the lady young and sweet, earning her the title of elder sister and some major brownie points. With the pleasantries finally out of the way, it's time for our duo to get some rest before the chaotic demon hunt begins. Katia wishes you a peaceful good night, but our horn-headed girl is clearly not feeling the distance. You decides that sharing a bed is non-negotiable and sneaks in for a snuggle while Katia is dead to the world. Inside her head, Katia is locked in a savage battle against a massive, shadowy titan. She tries to use her legendary strength, but it fails her, and she wakes up from the nightmare with a heart-shattering scream. Our poor heroine thinks it was just a dream until she realizes Yu is literally right there in bed with her. Her terrified shriek echoes throughout the entire estate, startling the servants. Outside, the lady of the house watches the skies, hoping the immortals can finally catch the demon haunting them. Meanwhile, a creepy little old man is lurking behind the pillars, definitely up to no good. To calm her chaotic heart, Katia tries to meditate by a waterfall to wash away all those impure thoughts. But she can't stop blushing, trembling as she tries to convince herself that everything is totally fine. She's losing her mind over Yu's scandalous lack of fashion sense, screaming internally because her heart just can't take the heat. Suddenly, she senses a presence in the trees and snaps into action mode, demanding to know who's there. She goes full savage, leaping through the forest like a pro, while back at the house, the servant is just trying to get 5 more minutes of sleep. Katia returns empty-handed, explaining she was chasing a mysterious shadow while Yu watches her from the sidelines with that intense, unreadable gaze. Yu is trying to keep it cool while asking about a demon mouse, but her chibi self is clearly struggling to keep it together. Meanwhile, these 2 guys are busy investigating a black snake that's been causing a murderous rampage lately. They arrive at the latest massacre site, but the scene is a total chaotic mess with a crowd that's more interested in lunch than the actual investigation. Back with our girls, Yu demands to see where the demon mouse first appeared, and Madame Huang leads them straight to the granary. Madame Huang starts describing this beast like it's a kaiju, claiming it had a tail for miles and a massive appetite. She's doing the absolute most, insisting its eyes were like giant copper bells while pointing out the shredded grain sacks. The memory of the shadow is enough to make anyone scream, but our poor heroine is busy fighting a losing battle with her allergies. Yu is sneezing her brains out, so Kathy decides to go grab some firewoods to help out. Wait, why do I have a bad feeling about this? While Yu is distracted by her runny nose, Kathy returns with a handful of sticks and a look that says chaos is coming. In a move that is 0% healer and 100% devil, Kathy literally sets the entire building ablaze. Total panic ensues as the villagers scramble to save the granary, and Yu is left staring in absolute disbelief at Kathy's insane solution. Realizing they've just committed major arson, Yu tells Kathy they're going to have to apologize big time once they fix this mess. But things are looking grim because the fire is out of control, and Yu realizes she doesn't have a single drop of magic to cast a water spell. Just as she's about to give up, she's reminded that being an immortal is about resolution, not just fancy gifts. Our girl locks in, deciding that if she can't use magic, she'll just have to use pure, unadulterated savage strength. She winds up for the play of the century while everyone else is just trying to stay out of the blast zone. With a roar, she unleashes a punch so powerful it creates a literal sonic boom. The ultimate hurricane punch sends a blast of wind so strong it might actually blow the fire out, and half the village along with it. Our girl finally unleashes a massive gust of magic to clear the suffocating smoke. The local audience is absolutely floored by her legendary skills, while she just breathes a sigh of relief that she didn't blow the whole place to kingdom come. She reunites with her red-haired companion, but looking at the wreckage, they both realize they might have gone a little overboard with the saving part. Our poor heroine tries to apologize for, accidentally starting a massive fire, while the old man tries to catch his floating wife. Madame Huang is surprisingly chill about the arson, claiming it's all about the balance of good and evil, which is a pretty wild way to say thanks for burning my house down. But the romantic moment is cut short when the old man realizes his wife has put on a few pounds, while elsewhere, a new group of investigators hits the streets. These newcomers are already causing a scene at a candy stall, with our blonde firecracker ready to report the vendor to the authorities for aggressive marketing. To keep the peace, the white-haired hunk buys out the stall just so they can finally get some tea on the mysterious black snake. The vendor spills the tea about a legendary beast that's been turning the local lake into a graveyard for the last 30 years. While the vendor tries to upsell them on more snake stories, our blonde girl is totally over it, but the white-haired strategist senses something is fishy. He wonders if this is a trap, but our chaotic blonde just wants to skip the thinking and go straight to the smashing. He tries to explain the logic of why a free snake would stay in one place, but it's clearly going over her head. He suspects there's a deeper reason why the creature hasn't left, wondering if it's being forced to stay against its will. Suddenly, we get a brutal flash of a bloody confrontation, proving that whatever is lurking in the shadows is playing for keeps. He realizes the whole quest might just be bait for a much larger trap, just as our girls are forced to bow down and apologize again for their explosive entrance. Madame Wang tells them not to sweat the small stuff, but since their investigation is stalled, it looks like our duo is stuck playing house for a few more days. Our girl and her companion have settled into the quiet woods for a little break. But fishing is harder than it looks, and Kathy is losing her patience as the slippery targets keep escaping her grasp. Fed up with playing fair, she uses a massive magic circle to blast the fish right out of the water, much to Yu's surprise. Yu tries to play the voice of reason, warning her that blowing everything up is a bit overkill and might actually hurt someone. To keep the peace, she offers Kathy a perfectly grilled fish as long as she promises to stop being so chaotic in the future. Yu suggests a simple pinky promise to seal the deal, but Kathy's eyes light up at the mention of an official agreement. Our greasy-faced demon tries to seal the contract with a kiss, but Yu isn't about to let that oily mouth anywhere near her face. Kathy is genuinely confused why the contract was rejected, forcing Yu to explain that a kiss is a very special gesture. She lectures her that kisses are reserved for those who truly adore each other, even throwing in a mandatory rule against sleeping naked. The mood shifts instantly as Kathy's expression goes dark and her massive black wings begin to unfurl. Before you can even process the change in atmosphere, she's caught in a sudden whirlwind of feathers and power. Kathy stares deep into her eyes, finally understanding that the only way to get her contract signed is to become the one person Yu adores. She pulls our heroine into a possessive embrace, her wings shielding them both from the rest of the world. Kathy sweeps Yu off her feet in a dramatic princess carry, proving she's ready to do whatever it takes to win her heart. Our girl Yu is totally mesmerized by Kathy's majestic black wings as they shimmer in the sunlight. Kathy starts fluttering them like a proud little bird, reminding Yu that she was the one who wanted flying lessons in the first place. Yu can't help but swoon over how adorable her demon friend is, giving her a cheeky little cheek rub that leaves Kathy blushing. But the mood shifts fast as Yu points out a suspicious crack in the distance where she felt someone spying on her practice. Kathy isn't exactly thrilled about the extra work, so our heroine has to resort to the ultimate bribe, 10 sugar-coated haws. After some savage negotiation, Kathy ups the price to 50, and they seal the deal with some chaotic cuddles that are way too cute. Investigating the area, they find a strange pink residue, while elsewhere a new duo is busy inspecting the night for clues. This poor blonde girl is literally shaking over a vibrating scepter, while her senior worries about their school's empty wallet and her master's gambling habits. Just as things get weird, the senior catches a magical signal that points them directly toward the next target. Meanwhile, Lord Huang is having a full-blown meltdown because his beloved wife is nowhere to be found in their bed. The poor guy is checking under pillars and even in the toilet, screaming for his darling like a lost puppy. Yu steps in and drops a truth bomb about some half-chopped whiskers she found, putting the old man on the spot. Suddenly, the old man shows his true colors, his teeth growing sharp as Yu prepares for a forced reveal of his identity. He transforms into a massive, terrifying beast, ready to tear our girl apart to get his wife back. Yu effortlessly blocks his strike and calmly explains that his wife is actually safe, just out on a girl's day at the market with Kathy. The realization hits him like a truck, and the scary monster immediately shrinks back into a confused, tiny fluff ball. In a heartbreaking moment, he admits he's just a weasel who has spent 30 years living a lie just to stay by his wife's side. He accepts that his time is up, choosing to let go of the facade before his true nature causes her any more pain. With a heavy heart, he asks you to turn him in now so his wife never has to see the monster he truly is. Madame Huang is on a mission, giving our red-haired girl a piercing stare to find out exactly where Master Yu is hiding. She tries to bribe her with a massive bag of gold, but our girl stays loyal and refuses to spill the beans for a few sweets. However, she accidentally lets it slip that this involves Lord Huang, and Madame Huang's shocked expression says it all. She definitely didn't know that part. Master Yu finally shows up, but she's absolutely terrified of being caught in whatever chaotic mess is currently unfolding. Our heroine is totally lost until Madame Huang snatches up the poor, trembling weasel that was trying to hide behind her legs. It turns out the quest wasn't about catching some old man at all, leaving everyone looking completely baffled. Madame Huang admits the whole demon mouse thing was a lie she cooked up to test if they'd accept someone different like her husband. But things get heavy fast when our girl gets serious, promising that as a freewheeling apprentice, she won't stand by during a life-and-death crisis. Madame Huang explains the real threat. A vengeful black snake that slaughtered a family decades ago has finally returned for blood. We flash back 30 years to a group of rowdy boys deciding to pull a cruel prank with a captured weasel. They toss the poor, bound creature over the wall, completely oblivious to the destiny they just set in motion. A young girl finds the tied-up weasel in her yard and prepares to give it a piece of her mind for trespassing. She's quick on her feet, pinning the little guy down before he can even think about making a break for it. When the weasel starts tearing up, she realizes this isn't just any animal. He actually understands every word she's saying. She decides to play the savior, untying him and claiming that since she didn't kill him, she's officially his hero. With a smug look, she declares that the little guy is now her lifelong slave to repay the debt of his life. But the weasel clearly isn't feeling the slave life and takes off like a shot over the wall, leaving her absolutely fuming. Our girl heads out to do some laundry, completely unaware that a furry little stalker is trailing her every move. As she settles by the water to get to work, a trio of local brats decide today is the perfect day for some chaotic bullying using stolen dyes. The leader aims his slingshot and fires a messy projectile, but our heroine has the reflexes of a goddess and dodges it without even looking up. He tries again, but it's a total fail, leaving his lackeys wondering if their chief has actually lost his touch. Desperate to land a hit, he pulls out his special skill and unleashes a barrage of shots, but she just dances through them like it's a light breeze. The boys are officially shook, and even the little ferret can't believe the missed shots. But the real trouble starts when our girl stands up and reveals she's been carrying a massive club this whole time. One look at her savage aura and the boys bolt for their lives, leaving her wondering if she's actually that terrifying. But the real reason they ran wasn't her. It's the massive, terrifying serpent that just rose from the depths. The beast looms right behind her, ready to strike while she's still distracted. Our poor heroine finally senses the danger and turns around to find herself face to face with a literal monster. The snake tries to play it smooth, claiming to be the Jade Lake god who protected her from those bullies while closing in for a snack. Not buying the divine act for a second, she plays the part of the grateful maiden while secretly readying her weapon. The snake gets creepier by the second, hissing about how much it likes young girls as it coils around her. Watching its tail like a hawk, she waits for the perfect moment to make her move. The second she bolts, the god drops the act and lunges with its massive fangs bared. She barely clears the strike, heart pounding as she prepares to fight back against this overgrown garden hose. With a savage swing, she clocks the beast right in the face and uses the opening to hightail it out of there. But one look at those glowing eyes tells us this scaly nightmare isn't going to let his dinner walk away that easily. Our girl is running for her life through the brush, but she can hear something massive slithering right behind her. It's a colossal black snake, and it's definitely not looking for a pet, it's looking for a snack. She desperately leaps across the terrain, her heart hammering against her ribs as she tries to find any cover. But the terrain is unforgiving, and the beast lets out a chilling hiss as it closes the gap. The monster towers over her, its jaws wide enough to swallow her whole in a single gulp. Our poor heroine trembles as the snake mocks her, claiming that the cleverer the prey, the better the taste. He slams his massive tail down with bone-shattering force, intending to turn her into a permanent part of the landscape. The snake smirks, thinking he's finally crushed our girl under a mountain of heavy rubble. Trapped and bleeding behind the rocks, she's nearly given up hope when a sudden ouch echoes from the beast. Out of nowhere, a tiny, savage weasel appears, having actually managed to land a hit on the giant's face. This little warrior isn't backing down, standing his ground between the predator and our terrified heroine. The snake is insulted that a lowly animal would dare to interfere with his meal. The weasel is taking a beating, coughing up blood as he tries to buy her just a few more seconds of life. The snake has had enough of the distractions and prepares to end the little guy once and for all. Despite his size, the weasel is lightning fast, dodging the heavy strikes with desperate agility. He sees his opening and lunges straight for the monster's head. With a final burst of courage, he latches onto the glowing jewel embedded in the snake's forehead. He sinks his teeth into the snake's core of life, refusing to let go even as the beast thrashes in agony. With a sickening crack, the core shatters and the tide of the battle finally turns. The massive predator collapses, defeated by the smallest hero imaginable. Exhausted and glowing with a strange light, the weasel limps toward the rocks where our girl is hidden. Inside the stone prison, our girl panics as the rocks begin to shift and groan above her. Just when she thinks the ceiling is coming down, a mysterious figure clears the path and reaches out a hand. It's a total hottie in blue, swooping in at the perfect moment to ask if she's all right. The lady explains that the black snake's body vanished after the cave collapse, having spent 30 long years revitalizing its broken core. Lord Huang reminds everyone that after 3 decades of hiding, that old scaly menace is finally back for its revenge. Suddenly, the massive beast towers over the courtyard, apologizing for the long wait while looking absolutely terrifying. Before anyone can react, the snake snatches poor Lord Huang right out of the air. It mocks the group, claiming young girls are its favorite treat, while our girl Yu charges up a desperate counterattack. But she misses her shot completely, leaving the snake to mock how dreadful the youth of today have become. The monster swings its massive tail, forcing Kathy to swoop in and rescue you from being flattened. Lord Huang tries to rush the beast again, but he's caught in an instant, and the situation goes from bad to worse. The villain reveals its new sorcery, summoning a swarm of shadowy little snakes that begin to multiply. Yu and Cassie land safely, but the lady warns them that they need to be extremely careful. Suddenly, the tiny snakes swarm, biting Yu's legs and making it impossible to move. She tries to swat them away, but for everyone she hits, 10 more seem to appear out of thin air. The giant snake laughs, calling her effort a total waste while poor Lord Huang is left coughing up blood. Seeing his friends in pain, Lord Huang goes full savage mode, slashing through the air with glowing claws. But the snake just laughs it off, transforming its body into a binding trap that wraps Yu up tight. Kathy is next on the list as the snake rants about a massacre from 12 years ago, seeking revenge for its descendants. Kathy's expression goes cold, her black wings spreading wide as she prepares to stop holding back. Her eyes glow with a lethal intensity as a massive, toxic-looking aura begins to leak out of her body. Yu realizes this power is going to wreck the whole area and tells Kathy they'll just have to apologize for the property damage later. As the energy peaks, Kathy stares down the monster, ready to end this chaotic nightmare once and for all. Our girl is currently wrapped up like a snack and hating the fact that she only has physical strength when she's desperately craving some psychic mojo. But wait, a mysterious golden glow starts radiating from her hand as a strange chant begins to fill the air. Suddenly, Kathy descends from the heavens like a total boss, leaving our heroine completely shook by this dramatic entrance. The power levels are officially off the charts as Yu feels an immortal energy surging through her veins. With the garden as her stage, she channels the ancient chant, ready to end this chaotic mess once and for all. It's time to settle the score, and both girls look absolutely savage as they prepare their final strike. She unleashes a devouring flame that creates a massive explosion, absolutely nuking everything in its path. The fire incinerates the enemy, leaving nothing but embers behind. After that massive boom, a tiny, pathetic black bowl just drops from the sky and lands in the grass. The mighty demon turns out to be this tiny, derpy snake, and Yu gives it the most judgmental stare down in history. She doesn't hesitate to give this noodle a taste of her palm, smacking it around for being such a bully. While she's busy lecturing the snake, her friends remind her they actually need to keep it alive because they're broke and need the bounty money. The little brat actually has the audacity to bite her, leaving our poor heroine with a finger that's swollen up like a giant, throbbing cherry. Kathy steps in to save the day, using her flaming touch to treat the injury while Yu trembles from the pain. In seconds, the finger is as good as new, and Yu is so thrilled she gives Kathy a big, appreciative smooch on the cheek. It's a total swoon moment as she thanks her savior, proving that even after a chaotic battle, there's always time for a little sweetness. Lin Feng is absolutely losing his mind because the clerk refuses to believe their tiny pet is the legendary black snake. Even the snake looks like it's having an identity crisis, while some random bullies from the peak show up just to rub salt in the wound. These guys are peak trash, laughing at our squad for being at the bottom of the rankings like it's the funniest joke of the year. Lin Feng is 1 second away from catching a case, but his senior tells him to keep it together while the bullies head off to the middle tournament. They keep talking smack as they walk away, leaving our poor heroine and the boys feeling the sting of being the school's underdogs. Senior explains that the middle tournament is the biggest event of the year, and our girl is finally catching on to how high the stakes are. But the reality check hits hard when he admits their team usually scores a big fat 0 every single time. Lin Feng explains that they always get matched against the literal best fighters, which sounds like a total setup if you ask me. The squad arrives at the peak, and the place is absolutely packed with competitors and their weirdly adorable fairy pets. Kathy watches as the pets get scanned, but she's looking a little too calm for someone who might be a literal demon in disguise. Yu is worried about Cassie being alone, but Senior points out that the nature detector might actually expose her true form. Meanwhile, Lin Feng is acting like a total weirdo, using Yu as a human shield to hide from his supposed enemies in the crowd. He barely has time to explain himself before a massive explosion rocks the pet inspection area, sending everyone into a panic. It turns out the detector couldn't handle the heat, and Yu rushes over to make sure Cassie hasn't accidentally blown her cover. The staff are scrambling to fix the device, while a mysterious woman in yellow watches the chaos unfold from above. She gives off major final boss vibes as she's told everything is back on track, and you just know she's up to no good. The nature detector acts as a high-tech element scanner, revealing the true colors of every magical pet that passes through. Our girl watches as even a massive pig barely squeezes through the gate like it's a tight pair of jeans. But when it's Kathy's turn, the sensors start acting up, and the white-haired master catches a suspicious vibe. The machine starts spinning like it's about to hit a jackpot, leaving the guards completely baffled as her element refuses to show. Suddenly, the whole thing goes boom, and the mysterious edgelord walks away like he's too cool for an explosion. Later that night, the guide drops the news that there's no room service. It's every hero for themselves in this canteen. Yu is still reeling from Kathy's sudden transformation, but our horned girl is just vibing in her own little world. Look at that face, she's either planning some serious chaos or just really excited about the menu. While the humans get actual rooms, the pets are tossed into a stable that looks more like a monster mosh pit than a hotel. You can't sleep and spots a mysterious figure rushing through the courtyard under the cover of night. She tries to play detective and follow them, but she's about to get a major jump scare from the shadows. A gorgeous blonde senior pulls a classic wall slam, trapping our poor heroine in a total power move. She playfully asks if our girl is out for a midnight jog, while Yu tries to keep her heart from leaping out of her chest. Yu makes a break for it, but the senior just watches with a smirk, knowing exactly who's lurking in the halls. Our girl runs straight into her senior who is, wait, why is he wearing a pink dress and pigtails in the middle of the night? He tosses some stolen buns onto the table as an excuse, telling her to hurry back to bed before the tournament. But the math isn't mathing. The canteen is open 24/7, so why on earth is this man in full drag right now? The next morning, our poor heroine finds you trembling like a leaf after whatever trauma she endured through the night. Kathy tries to shake some life back into her, feeling absolutely terrible for leaving her friend alone in that chaotic lion's den. But there's no time for pity because the grand tournament is officially kicking off with disciples flying in on every magical contraption imaginable. A high-end mighty master arrives in a fancy sedan chair, completely ignoring the haters calling her a silver spoon immortal as she dramatically declares the start of the games. The gossip mill is already spinning about Yuchi Yue, a top-tier fighter who ended up in the lower bracket just because he has a legendary bad sense of direction. Meanwhile, our girls' teammates are looking absolutely pathetic, dragging their magic weapons like they're heading to a funeral instead of a duel. Her opponent tries to be polite, but the vibes are pure secondhand embarrassment as the crowd watches the freewheeling schools struggle. Cassie and Yu finally crash land into the arena, looking like they both just crawled out of a high-speed washing machine. Before they can even blink, the first fight is already over, and Yuchi Yue takes the win without breaking a single sweat. Our girl catches up with the rest of the crew, only to find out their master is back to his old tricks of racking up debt and threatening to sell his body to the highest bidder again. It's finally Pueduihu's turn to shine, and Kathy gives her the most enthusiastic cheer she can muster, which clearly didn't help because she gets instantly fried to a crisp, and the next guy tries to win by offering his opponent tea before getting turned into a literal pincushion. Shixin Yao steps up next, showing off some actually impressive speed that gets Kathy's hopes up for a split second. But psych, he's literally just running in circles for 15 minutes until he gets bored and just decides to leave. It's a total draw with 0 points across the board, and while the freewheeling squad celebrates their tactics, the rival school is busy laughing their heads off at the sheer incompetence. This smug leader from the Ordinariness school thinks he's got it in the bag, but Kathy and her friend are staying focused and refusing to lose to these bullies. Our girl prepares for her big battle, but the moment she steps up, her opponent takes one look at her and nopes right out of there, giving her the win by default. The team is absolutely losing it because, for once, they aren't the bottom of the barrel. But Kathy has 0 patience for the celebration and drags you away before she gets a big head. Of course, there's always some arrogant jerk ready to talk trash, calling our girl a freewheeling loser who just got lucky. Yu overhears the insults, and you can practically see the smoke coming out of her ears as she prepares for the next round. Even with her friends backing her, Yu is determined to prove she can handle the heat all on her own. Her first real challenge is this Han Feng guy, who's already acting like he's won the lottery by facing her. Yu gives a polite salute before the chaos begins, and Han Feng immediately launches a barrage of ice shards. The explosion looks devastating, leaving her team screaming in terror as they think she's been turned into a popsicle. But our girl is built different, dashing through the debris and shattering his ice with a single savage punch. She lands a massive hit that sends a clear message: don't underestimate the underdog. Her team is back to cheering, but Kathy notices Yu's hand is starting to show the strain of the fight. Next up is the peony fairy, who tries to overwhelm Yu with a literal storm of deadly flower petals. The fairy tries to turn Yu into fertilizer, but Yu slices through the floral tornado like it's nothing. Another victory for our heroine, but the matches are coming fast, and her next opponent is an archer with a serious attitude. Zhu Heng doesn't waste time, raining down a mountain of arrows to pin Yu down. She's forced to shield her face as the arrows leave her covered in scratches and bruises. Standing under the shadow of defeat, Yu's internal monologue goes full protagonist mode as she refuses to give up on her dream. She tells Kathy to stay back because she's tired of being the one who always needs saving. Yu charges forward with a punch that's practically glowing with raw desperation and power. The impact is insane, blasting her opponent clear across the arena and into the next zip code. The shockwave is so massive that even the elite fighters in the other rings are starting to realize there's a monster in the lower ranks. It looks like Yu finally has everyone's attention, and the real heavy hitters are starting to get nervous. The next morning, our poor heroine finally opens her eyes to find Cassie has been watching over her the entire time. Cassie is out like a light, and Yu can't help but reach out, moved by how much her friend cares. But as soon as Yu moves, Kathy jumps up, absolutely relieved that our girl is finally back among the living. Before you can even process it, Kathy dives into the bed for a full-on snuggle session, proving she's the ultimate ride or die. Looking into Kathy's eyes, Yu makes a solemn promise that from now on, they're going to face every battle side by side. Thinking back to how helpless she felt during the fight, Yu lets Kathy comfort her with a gentle head pat, melting all that trauma away. Suddenly, the peace is shattered as the rest of the squad bursts through the door like a chaotic whirlwind to check on her. Realizing they're being way too loud for a recovery room, they quickly scramble back out to give our girl some actual peace and quiet. But even with the support, you can't help but feel a pang of regret for rushing into danger just to prove her worth. Meanwhile, in the dining hall, the gossip mill is spinning fast as everyone talks about the shock results of the lower tournament. They're all buzzing about how a girl from a total nobody school managed to wreck everyone without even using a psychic tower. While her friends brag about how savage she is, Kathy is just focused on devouring her meat. Lin Feng suddenly gets a weird vibe and bolts out of there, leaving the girls completely confused by his sudden exit. Just then, a mysterious presence looms over Yu, catching our heroine completely off guard. This blonde beauty drops a casual, unexpected encounter line, which is hilarious considering this is literally her own house. While Cassie sits there looking like a salty, pouting little marshmallow, the newcomer prepares to reveal her true identity. She introduces herself as the master of the peak, Shangyuan Yushu, and you just know things are about to get way more complicated for our girl. Yu is absolutely floored to meet the legendary Shangyuan Yushu, realizing she's dealing with high-tier royalty. Our girl tries to play it cool while introducing herself, but little Kathy in the corner is already radiating pure, don't forget about me energy. As they chat about Lin Feng's progress as a teacher, Kathy decides to handle her jealousy by stress-eating whatever is on the table. Bad move because she just inhaled a spicy pepper and her soul is practically leaving her body from the heat. Yu makes a quick exit to track down her dramatic little friend who's currently dying inside. She finds Kathy sobbing behind a tree, looking like a total mess and barely able to speak. The poor thing is wailing that her mouth is literally on fire. Luckily, Yu is prepared and tosses her some milk sugar to soothe the burn. Kathy is so touched by the save that she declares Yu as the only one she'll ever sign a contract with. Back with the squad, he is checking in to make sure our heroine is still feeling savage and ready to fight. It's time for a serious strategy meeting because Yu has officially ranked in the top 20 of the lower tournament. The bracket is looking chaotic, and the path to the top is getting steeper by the second. The team is feeling the pressure since they've been considered the underdogs for way too long. Yi pulls out the hit list, marking the long-range fighters you can handle and the spiritual attackers she should absolutely avoid. Our girl is a bit confused about these spiritual attacks, so he starts a crash course on cultivation phases. Apparently, Yu has been coasting on Phase 2 body training strength this whole time, which is why she's such a melee beast. But Phase 3 is a whole different level of power involving intense concentration. It's all about absorbing massive amounts of psychic power to expand your spiritual field to a massive scale. When fighting someone at this level, physical hits are basically useless, like punching a giant ball of cotton. He drops the cold hard truth: without psychic force, Yu is a total sitting duck. If she's not careful, a single spiritual blow from these opponents could permanently shatter her soul. Liu Yi reminds the girls that since they aren't on today's list, they should use this time to study the gap between the different phases. But before they can even get moving, Lin Feng starts spiraling through the air like a broken kite. Our poor boy is absolutely convinced he's meeting his maker and begs Liu Yi to save him from a messy end. Liu Yi looks like he'd rather be anywhere else, but he finally decides to intervene. He catches the screaming idiot by the hair and promptly drops him onto the platform like a sack of potatoes. After Lin Feng finishes his little tantrum, they arrive at the middle versus upper arena, which is so packed they can barely see the stage. Liu Yi explains that these victories determine which schools get the best resources, but since it's too crowded, he decides to take them to the lower middle fights instead. This area is way more deserted, but Liu Yi warns them that some hidden monsters are still lurking in these lower ranks. As the match between Sunrise and Thousand Pavilions begins, a familiar face walks onto the stage. Liu Yi immediately recognizes the man as Mulong and his expression turns dead serious. This guy is a literal nightmare who takes pleasure in traumatizing his opponents. He mocks the trainees for being sheltered, reminding them that the magic weapons they use are made from the skin and blood of his kind. In a chilling display of power, he traps his opponent in a mass of suffocating energy. The poor girl struggles to breathe as the pressure becomes unbearable. Back in the present, a massive explosion rocks the entire arena. Giant golden fists slam into the ground, sending shockwaves through the crowd. The audience can't believe a lower trainee has this much raw power. But Mulong just brushes off the dust with a terrifying smirk, claiming he was only just getting warmed up. The crowd is absolutely losing it over those insane long-range moves, but Yu is still stuck in the dark. Seeing our girls struggle, Kathy decides it's time for someone-on-one private tutoring and gets way too close for comfort. She tells Yu to just shut her eyes and focus, and honestly, the tension is making everyone blush. Suddenly, a literal halo of spiritual energy connects them, and it's looking like a total power-up moment. Yu opens her eyes to a breathtaking vision of floating islands and clouds, finally seeing the world beyond the physical. Kathy is smug about her work, while Lin Feng is just standing there waiting for the results. But wait, even with the buff, Yu is still looking like a confused puppy while Lin Feng throws a tiny tantrum in the background. The senior starts lecturing them about Phase 1, but Lin Feng is already over the technical talk and just wants him to get to the point. To test things out, a massive bolt of psychic lightning blasts through the air, leaving poor Lin Feng looking like a crispy cartoon character. The senior asks what she saw, and Yu admits she didn't see any flashy lightning, just a creepy dark light coming from Lin Feng's head. The senior's face goes dead serious because that wasn't psychic energy, it was pure, unadulterated foul energy. He explains that Kai has a dual nature of yin and yang, and what you saw was the demonic side that most trainees can't even touch. Our heroine is worried she might be turning into a villainess, but the senior reminds her that energy isn't inherently good or bad, only the person using it is. Suddenly, the tournament continues with a savage exchange of palms, but the psychic energy is being deflected like it's nothing. Everyone realizes the Sunrise boy isn't even fighting. He's just a mindless puppet being controlled by something far more sinister. The match ends in a brutal explosion, leaving the opponent buried under a pile of literal rubble. The higher-ups are watching the chaos unfold, and the mood in the stands is getting seriously heavy as the crowd whispers about the display of power. Yu checks the match list for tomorrow and sees her name right next to a total powerhouse, making her wonder if she should just quit while she's ahead. She's doubting herself, but her senior gives her the green light to go for it and finally prove her worth. Back in her room, Yu confronts Cassie about their contract, knowing they can't reach full power if only one of them is fully committed. She takes Kathy's face in her hands, looking her dead in the eye for a moment that feels way more romantic than a simple battle strategy session. The arrogant jerk is busy mocking the competition, thinking no one has the guts to face him. But his jaw drops when our heroine Yu makes a grand entrance, being carried into the arena by her winged guardian angel. She sticks the landing like a total boss, but her mind is still reeling from the drama that went down last night. In a heated flashback, we see Kathy getting dangerously close to her face, the tension high enough to make anyone swoon. Kathy makes it crystal clear that a kiss is a sacred thing meant only for two people who truly adore each other. She isn't just trying to win a contract, she's putting everything on the line to be the one Yu chooses. Back in the present, Yu is fired up and ready to throw hands. Her opponent finally realizes she's no pushover and readies his glowing spiritual bow. He summons a massive, crushing wave of water to wash her away, but our girl doesn't flinch for a second. She uses raw physical force to literally smash the psychic wave apart with her bare hands. The guy is officially sweating bullets, realizing Yu is a top-tier trainee while Kathy keeps a protective watch over her. Yu rushes in to strike, but it feels like her punches are just hitting soft cotton instead of a solid body. Seizing the opening, the guy fires a point-blank arrow that sends our poor heroine spiraling. She falls through the air from the impact, but Kathy catches her mid-drop and immediately starts pouring healing magic into her wounds. The jerk thinks he's got the match in the bag, but Yu wipes the blood from her lip and refuses to stay down. He tries to keep her at bay with more arrows, but she's already charging through the storm with insane determination. Even while coughing up blood, she demands more healing just so she can keep the pressure on. She unleashes a savage, chaotic barrage of punches that leaves her opponent completely panicked. Suddenly, her vision shifts, and she begins to see the core of his spiritual energy swirling right before her eyes. Yu is locked in, dodging every strike with pinpoint precision as she reads her opponent's every move. But the enemy traps her inside a massive psychic orb that's supposedly impossible to break within the time limit. Her opponent starts gloating while our girl is pushed to her absolute limit, her hands covered in blood as she trembles from the strain. She collapses to her knees, whispering for her mother as the darkness starts to close in. But just as things look hopeless, the sky shatters with a violent surge of lightning and raw power. A memory of a crying child flashes by, and the white-haired hunk finally realizes her true identity from years ago. Yu refuses to resign even while she's falling apart, but Kathy arrives just in time to stop her from doing something reckless. Kathy isn't playing around today, stepping in with a savage, I got you energy that shifts the entire vibe of the fight. She unleashes a total bombardment of light and energy that turns the entire stage into a literal demolition site. The opponent can only stare in horror, wondering what kind of monster he just unleashed as his world quite literally explodes. The spectators are losing their minds because these two fairy pets just stole the entire show and turned the arena into a total loss. As the smoke clears, the battlefield is nothing but floating chunks of rock and Yu is left standing there in a daze. Kathy tries to act all whatever about the destruction, turning her back on the massive mess she just caused. While she flies off, the officials announce that Yu and the others have officially secured their spots in the middle tournament. The event is finally over, and Lin Feng reminds Yu that her new rank means the League of Celestials will be sending her on much better quests. But the celebration is cut short when a random piece of paper flies through the air and smacks Lin Feng right in the kisser. It's a freaking IOU note. Turns out their master is a total degenerate who owes money all over the demon cavern. The guys immediately rush off to clear the debts and save their master from his own poor life choices. Our poor heroine is left standing there in peak, confused protagonist energy, wondering why everyone just abandoned her. Cassie is sulking on the roof, feeling totally abandoned and crying her eyes out. But then our girl Yu shows up, and the Demoness can't help but let out a shaky sigh of relief. Yu tries to bribe her with sweets and chicken, but Kathy is playing hard to get, turning her nose up at the snacks. She claims she isn't hungry, but the moment Yu takes the blame for their fight and apologizes, Kathy absolutely loses it and starts wailing like a baby. Yu pulls her into a warm hug, promising cakes and soy milk to soothe the soul. Poor Kathy is such a mess she's literally sobbing and burping at the same time, unable to even get a word out. After she finally calms down enough to eat, Yu tells her the plan. They're heading to the League of Celestials and then she wants Kathy to come home with her. It's been 6 months since Yu has seen her family and she's finally ready to see her mom again. As they trek down the mountain, Kathy snacks away while Yu explains her secret escape route. She shows off her battered hands, proving she had to climb down a ropeway because she still hasn't mastered flying on a sword. Seeing Yu's injuries, Kathy grabs her arm with a look of pure devotion, vowing to never leave her side. Suddenly, a massive blur zooms toward them through the forest at breakneck speed. It's not an enemy, though, it's Yu's dad, and he nearly crushes the life out of her with a massive bear hug. Soon, they're all gathered around a feast, where Yu explains she's just passing through on a dangerous quest. Yu finishes her meal and heads off to see her mother, leaving Cassie alone with the old man. He gets all sentimental, thanking Cassie for being Yu's first real friend and putting up with her chaotic strength. He gives her a big thumbs up of approval while Yu stands before a quiet headstone. It turns out her mother passed away long ago and she's just there to pay her respects. Cassie is living her best life, hopping through the woods to find her bestie. But things get heavy real quick as she finds Yu pouring her heart out at her mother's grave, feeling like a total failure of an immortal trainee. Our girl Yu tries to explain that Kathy isn't a fairy pet or a devil, just a very special friend. Cassie takes it a step further, formally introducing herself to the tombstone as a devil from the frozen world before they pack their bags for the big journey. They wave goodbye to the village, with Yu promising to return only when she's finally leveled up her skills. As they reach the edge of MT, cross-border, Kathy starts shaking like a leaf because her sister warned her this place is full of bad vibes. Yu, being the ultimate ride or die, promises to punch anyone who dares to mess with her demonic bestie. Suddenly, a massive, terrifying presence looms over them, leaving the girls completely froze. This hulking beast is huffing and puffing enough to blow a house down. But surprise, he's not a boss fight, he's just a shady salesman trying to hustle some tickets. The big guy starts yapping about the ancient war where immortals and demons wiped each other out. He explains that the whole mountain is covered in sealing spells, leaving only one tiny crevice to pass through. And wouldn't you know it, he's the designated guard who just happens to have a VIP pass for sale. He thinks Yu is a total airhead and tries to scare her with stories about trainees hunting for fairy pets. He's offering a green channel straight to the demon world for the low price of 10 gold. Our poor heroines have to admit they're absolutely broke, making the Minotaur lose interest faster than a bad date. He ditches them for a mysterious hooded figure, but Kathy and Yu realize this newcomer looks suspiciously familiar. As the stranger brushes past, those golden locks confirm that things are about to get even more chaotic. Our poor heroine Yu can barely catch her breath after that mess, thanking the elegant Yushu for her timely intervention. Yushu is already playing the big sister role, insisting they're basically family now and making our girl feel right at home. But the mood shifts to teasing as Yushu asks if Yu is looking for a fairy pet, or perhaps a couple of them to keep her company. Kathy isn't having any of it, getting all puffy and protective while Yu insists they're just best friends. Trying to stay on track, Yu explains they're on a quest for the League of Celestials to find a lost magic weapon, though her face is turning a suspicious shade of red. Even the local birds seem to be laughing at how young and naive our group looks heading into such a dangerous place. Yushu gets serious, mentioning a suspicious fighter named Wang Qun and his pet Mulong, sensing that something is very wrong with their energy. She brushes off Yu's concerns about safety, declaring she's the real deal and definitely not some pampered silver spoon immortal. To prove just how deadly this cavern is, a random bird flies into a hidden barrier and gets fried to a crisp in an instant. While Yu stares in horror at the falling bird, a new face arrives offering to cure her fever, though the heat is the least of her worries right now. Deep in the shadows, the high demons are mocking the stupid apprentices for swarming into their trap. But the smug vibes vanish when the phantom tiger realizes they've actually been followed. She doesn't waste a heartbeat, giving the cold-blooded order to kill the intruders immediately. Unaware of the hit put out on them, Yushu suggests they march forward together so she doesn't get bored, calling our duo beauties to lighten the mood. Little do they know, a literal bird's eye view is tracking their every move from the twisted trees. When Yu mentions they're searching for the Soul Keeper bottle, Yushu's eyes go wide. That's a name she knows all too well. She explains it's the treasure of the Triplicity, a legendary item used to pacify souls during the Great War. It's a relic soaked in blood and public indignation, making it a very dangerous target for a group of trainees. Before they can figure out why they were sent on such a suicide mission, a shadow leaps from the cliffs. Suddenly, they're completely surrounded by growling monsters with glowing eyes, and things just got incredibly chaotic. The boys arrive at the Eastern Paradise looking for their master. This foxy lady wastes no time getting touchy-feely, offering everything from drinks to gambling while her friends swarm the sidekick. She assumes they're just here for some special lessons, but the mood shifts instantly when they reveal they're actually here to rescue their master. Apparently, their master is nothing more than a freeloader living in her firewood storage. She summons the heavy hitters, warning them that since they chose the hard way, she's going to make sure they regret it. Our guy tries to negotiate what will make her happy, but she catches him red-handed trying to sneak a choking spell behind his back. She decides to settle this with a high-stakes game of best of 7. If they win, the debt is gone, but if they lose, they're stuck working the floor to keep her guests happy for a long, long time. They step into the chaotic heart of the demon casino to start the challenge, and it is absolutely wild in here. Meanwhile, a new threat appears as the terrifying phantom tiger shows up, and she's out for blood. Legend says she was born from the blood and kai of a painter named Song Bohu, who was mocked for his art until the day he died. His final masterpiece came to life and devoured every single person who ever laughed at his lack of talent. Now she stands before our girls as a legendary demon chief, and Yu prepares for a life-or-death struggle, telling the others to run while she holds the line. But then the vicious demon starts meowing. This isn't a battle, it's a full-on cute attack, and those sparkly galaxy eyes are hitting Yu's defenses way too hard. Yu tries to stay strong, shouting that she's a hardcore dog person and won't be bewitched by a mere cat. Big mistake, because the demon immediately summons a wave of the fluffiest puppies imaginable. Surrounded by the ultimate weakness, our poor girl realizes she's absolutely doomed by the power of cuteness. People are busy writing their deepest desires on lanterns for the Kixie Festival, but our little demon girl Kathy is just looking for some fun. She tracks down Yu, who's way too busy to play, and literally pushes our poor heroine out the door to find her own entertainment. Kathy isn't one to mope, though. She follows the sound of chirping birds right into a mysterious room where she finds a glowing mirror humming with ancient energy. As she reaches out, the mirror pulls her into a vision from 30 years ago, showing a woman getting ready for a night out. A couple of flirty girls try to scout her man right over the garden wall, but they didn't account for a wife with zero patience. She sends those homewreckers packing with a broom, only for her husband to melt her heart with a surprise bouquet for the festival. Even a fierce wife can't help but swoon, even if she acts like she's totally over it. The mirror shifts again, jumping back 20 years to a remote mountain range. A powerful cultivator senses a massive psychic wave and goes hunting for a legendary artifact. But instead of a magic sword, he finds a tiny, glowing infant hidden in the grass. He thinks he's found a chosen one with special powers, but as soon as he touches her, the little savage decides his finger looks like a snack and bites down hard. The visions keep coming, landing 10 years in the past where a golden-haired beauty is busy being a total flirt. She's laying on the charm thick until an angry husband with a rake decides he's had enough of her antics. She makes a quick escape, leaving behind a gold coin as a congrats on being married gift while she bolts. Suddenly, the magic fades and Kathy is snapped back to reality by the sound of Yu calling her name. Yu has been searching everywhere, looking absolutely frantic because she couldn't find her favorite girl. She immediately grabs Kathy's hand, leading her away to get ready for the real festivities. Our girl gets a total glow up, looking like a literal goddess in her traditional robes as the stars begin to shine. Under the moonlight, Yu explains the romantic legend of the Weaver Girl, but she's got a surprise of her own. She presents Kathy with a beautiful handmade charm, making this festival one they'll never forget. Life in the Demon World Quarry is a literal rocky start for our girl, as the foreman barks orders for everyone to move faster. While the prisoners are slaving away, a mysterious little girl peeks from the shadows as the mighty Lord Phantom Tiger makes his grand entrance. The crowd starts chanting like they are at a cult pep rally, praising this tiny fluffball as the greatest demon in existence. The foreman is desperate for a gold star, showing off a special gift the boys made just for their prestigious leader. It's a massive, gaudy statue, but the Phantom Tiger has zero taste for it and demands the whole thing be pulverized immediately. Panicking, the foreman spots our heroine and decides she's the perfect sacrificial lamb to do the dirty work. He orders her to smash the rocks, and Yu doesn't hesitate, throwing a punch that packs way more heat than anyone expected. The entire cliffside basically knocks out, crumbling into a chaotic mess of dust and debris. The ground vanishes beneath her feet, and our poor heroine is sent plummeting into a pitch-black abyss while her friends can only watch in terror. She eventually opens her eyes to find herself in a cozy bed, wondering how on earth she survived that terminal velocity drop. Seeing a face nearby, she happily calls out for Kathy, thinking she's finally safe with her bestie. But psych, this isn't Cassie at all, and a cold-eyed woman standing in the shadows tells her to beat it now that she's finally awake. Our girl tries to play it cool, thanking her mysterious lifesavers and promising to pay them back for the hospitality one day. The little girl begs her not to leave, but Yu knows she can't abandon her real friends in that demon-infested hellhole. The mysterious woman warns her that going back is a total suicide mission, but our girl's loyalty is non-negotiable. With a look of pure fire in her eyes, our heroine prepares to dive back into the chaos to save her squad. Our girl flies over the rocky terrain, her glowing eyes searching for any sign of life. She spots a tattered blue cloth and her heart sinks as she whispers a name that clearly means the world to her. Yu. Suddenly, a blinding pillar of light erupts from the sky, catching the attention of every creature nearby. Even the local wildlife is shook, wondering if they're looking at a literal devil descending from the heavens. But our heroine doesn't care about the gossip. She's busy manifesting a massive firebolt, determined not to leave a single trace behind. She descends with the grace of a savage queen, leaving the poor wolf witness absolutely speechless and trembling in his fur. But beneath that powerful exterior, our poor heroine is crumbling, haunted by memories of a girl she can't quite reach. The silhouette of the past flickers before her eyes, a painful reminder of everything she's lost. Meanwhile, back at the base, things are getting just as chaotic. This little one stares out into the empty hallway, her heart heavy with a search of her own. But she's quickly cornered by Lin, who's laying down the law with zero chill. Lin drops a truth bomb that absolutely shatters the kid's heart. The girl they found isn't Ying, and she never will be. We get a glimpse into a tragic past, where a life was held in the balance and a mysterious soul keeper bottle became their only hope. Lin loses her temper, slamming her fist down because she refuses to give up their most precious treasure, even if it makes her the villain in the kids' eyes. But Lin has her own secret plan, pasting a talisman as she prepares to do what must be done. Far away, another brave soul is risking it all, scaling a massive cliffside with pure determination. She's not stopping for anyone, fueled by the hope that she can reach her friend before it's too late. Our girl Kathy is feeling totally uninspired, while her wolf foreman practically begs to serve her. She's got a craving for sugar-coated haws, but he's more interested in getting her to sign a shady contract with the many-demon cavern. He promises a buffet of immortal trainees, just waiting for her to drain their energy. Talk about a savage recruitment pitch. Kathy isn't saying a word, making the poor wolf tremble as he swears these trainees are brainwashed and perfectly replaceable. While Kathy broods on a cliffside, Yu is pushing herself to the absolute limit, huffing and puffing just to reach her. Disaster strikes when the ground crumbles, sending Yu into a terrifying free fall until she barely catches the ledge with her bare, shaking hands. She screams out for Kathy, desperate for a rescue, while our demon queen just stares down with those icy, glowing eyes. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the Eastern Paradise, where a high-stakes gamble is happening to settle a master's massive debt. The Fox Lady tells Lin Feng and his companion to make themselves at home while she prepares the game field. And honestly, they look totally spooked. The place is pure chaos, filled with cheating demons and scandalous flirting that has Lin Feng wishing he was literally anywhere else. Suddenly, a suspicious scrap of paper falls at their feet and it looks suspiciously like toilet paper. It's a secret SOS from their master, Shanking, demanding they meet him in the bathroom immediately while the fox lady watches like a hawk. Inside the stinky stalls, the master reveals he's deep undercover for information, even if the blonde kid is currently dying from the smell. He claims the gambling was just a disguise to track down a mysterious fairy pet, but the disciples aren't buying his excuses for a second. Things get serious when he explains that Yu's pet is actually a high-level devil that was summoned by mistake. And the plot thickens because the demons are already prepping to summon a second devil right under their noses. Lin Feng tries to drop some historical knowledge about King Solomon's 72 devils, but the master just claims he was testing them to save face. While the master begs for more toilet paper through the door, the fox ladies eavesdrop on the whole hilarious mess, deciding to keep these two around for their own twisted entertainment. Our girl wakes up alone in the dirt, realizing her crew has completely vanished into thin air. She screams for Kathy until her throat is raw, but the only response is the eerie silence of the jagged rocks. Yu literally slaps some sense into herself, desperately trying to piece together where they could have gone after that chaotic phantom tiger encounter. Suddenly, a cold chill hits the air as snowflakes begin to fall, which is super sus for this time of year. But wait, this isn't snow, it's gray and gritty like ash, clinging to her skin in the most unsettling way. It clicks. This isn't weather, it's pure demonic energy, and it's leading her straight to Kathy's location. She spots a massive surge of power in the distance, where a giant magical seal is tearing through the sky. A mysterious presence begins to manifest within the swirling vortex, demanding to know who dared to summon them. Those piercing blue eyes look ready to end someone's whole career right then and there. Meanwhile, deep in the quarry, this blonde beauty is playing it smart, pretending to be enchanted while plotting a secret escape. She isn't about to let these high demons win, so she sends out a paper crane signal to call for backup from the League of Celestials. She's ready to see what these demons are actually made of as she watches the dark energy pool from the shadows. Back with Yu, she finds the source of the demonic stench, but she's immediately greeted by a squad of massive, buff bull guards. She ducks behind a pillar and watches in horror as a line of immortal trainees shuffle past, looking like total brainwashed zombies. Before she can process the sheer amount of demonic energy radiating from them, a guard catches her sneaking around and demands to know why she isn't in line. He looms over her, threatening to crush her, but then his eyes go wide and he suddenly face-plants into the dirt. Out pops this adorable little powerhouse holding a massive mallet, looking way too proud of her handiwork. This tiny lifesaver thinks Yu is someone named Ying and claims to be her junior from the Serenity sect. Yu has to break the news that she's actually Yuchi Yue, and the woman the girl is looking for was likely her mother. The shock of the situation is just too much to handle, and the chaos is only getting started. To reach immortality, one must balance their psychic energy while purging every drop of foul demonic filth from their soul. But our girl is horrified to find this trainee is absolutely overflowing with dark energy. Little Chen doesn't hesitate, diving straight into the ultimate Tao to stabilize the poor guy's crumbling spirit. With a massive surge of purification, she drags him back from the edge of total corruption. The man finally wakes up, thanking them for saving him from an illusion that felt like it lasted for years. Our heroine modestly gives all the credit to the little master, but the news is grim. There are thousands more just like him trapped in this hellscape. They quickly ask about their friends, only to find out the red-haired girl was dragged away by a foreman. While they worry about Cassie, we see the high demons are already making their move. A literal wolf man is parading human captives around like they are items on a menu for his demonic lord. Back with our group, our girl realizes these trainees are being used as nothing more than batteries for demonic energy. She can't just leave them to rot, even if it means delaying her search for Kathy. Suddenly, a sarcastic voice cuts through the air as a mysterious guy named Mulong appears. He recognizes our heroine from a past tournament, though he's clearly still a bit salty that she outshined him back then. But there's no time for a reunion because massive demon guards decide to crash the party, only to get a face full of our girl's savage fist. As the rescued trainee runs to spread the word, little Chen is left wondering just how a girl this young can possess such monstrous strength. Our heroine doesn't miss a beat, shielding the little master and telling her to stay safe behind her back. This hero act triggers a memory for Chen, while Mulong watches on, sensing that our girl is definitely hiding some serious heat. Things take a dark turn as the other trainees begin to lose their humanity, turning into feral husks right before their eyes. Meanwhile, Kathy notices the sky turning pitch black as a strange, magical snow begins to fall. She realizes too late that this is a high-level Western summoning array, demanding the hidden demon show its face. Ask and you shall receive, as a sassy demon girl drops in to remind Kathy that mere mortals have no right to give her orders. The two clash instantly, with the demon looking to turn our blonde beauty into a literal sacrificial lamb. Yu is absolutely done with the small talk and looks like she's about to lose it. When the local wolf dog starts yapping about new trainees, our demon queen decides she's had enough and starts charging up a savage ultra attack. She doesn't even bother saying goodbye, just swishes her wings and takes off into the sky like a total boss. Meanwhile, on the ground, this edgy demon guy is literally yawning while watching a mountain of bodies, calling the whole thing boring. Our poor heroine Lin is currently being crushed in the middle of that chaotic pile, and she's looking rough. Chen is freaking out, wondering why Lin isn't fighting back against these possessed puppets. Chen decides to step up and starts chanting a peace mantra to try and calm the storm. It actually works for a second, but there are just too many enemies for her to control. The demon guy isn't impressed at all, and the possessed zombies immediately go back to their savage thumping. Lin is finally pushed to her limit, coughing up blood while Chen stares in absolute horror. Suddenly, a traumatic memory of blood and blades flashes through Chen's mind, and the vibes are getting dark. Back with the experts, we learn about the Soul Keeper bottle, a treasure meant to pacify souls and ease the living. The realization hits Chen like a freight train, causing a massive headache as her sealed memories finally shatter. She remembers the truth. Lin carried her through hell 12 years ago, refusing to let her die. They were supposed to save someone named Ying, but the mission was a total heart-wrenching disaster. Chen snaps back to reality with a look of pure, glowing determination. Seeing Lin's tears and blood, Chen decides to end this nightmare once and for all. She unleashes a massive wave of energy, screaming that everything ends in emptiness. The tragic truth is finally out. Lin had stolen Chen's soul and kept it in a bottle just to pretend she was still alive. Chen realizes she's been cheating death for over a decade and decides she's finally had enough. With a final, violent crack, the Soul Keeper bottle shatters, sending a massive pillar of light shooting into the heavens. Lin can only watch in silence, her heart breaking as she watches the light reach the sky. The spirits are finally released into the wind, leaving Lin to weep for the girl she just couldn't let go. We catch a glimpse of the past where everything seemed peaceful back when the girls were still safe. But the current reality is a total nightmare, as our girl realizes forbidden magic has been used to turn poor Chen into something horrific. Chen's eyes are vacant and her skin is deathly pale, catching the twisted interest of the demon lurking nearby. This savage creep actually starts clapping, mocking the fact that Chen has been turned into the living dead by an immortal. To make matters worse, the other survivors are being total trash, telling our heroine to just dump it and save herself. But our girl isn't leaving her friend behind, even as the demon launches a massive, chaotic attack to stop them from escaping. She barely manages to shield herself from the blow while Chen sits there, completely oblivious to the danger. These so-called immortals are still just standing around complaining about traps and potential wars instead of actually helping. They have the absolute audacity to say they'd help her win rewards if she just dissociated herself from the monster. Since our heroine refuses to be a fake friend, they literally just walk away and leave her to face the demon alone. The demon chief thinks he's won, launching a finishing strike while laughing at her lack of saviors. Suddenly, a total badass named Kong Lin drops in, making a grand entrance to save the day. She doesn't hesitate for a second, unleashing a flurry of lethal daggers that force the demon to back off. Realizing the odds have shifted and it's now 2 against 1, the coward decides to vanish into thin air. Our girl is stunned he got away, but Kong Lin's focus is immediately on the devastating damage done to Chen's soul. She quickly places a blood rune on the poor girl's forehead, a temporary fix to keep her spirit from scattering into nothingness. It's a bittersweet reunion as our heroine realizes Chen is nothing like the girl she used to be. Kong Lin reveals the tragic truth. She used forbidden zombie craft because she couldn't stand to let Chen die covered in blood. She even apologizes for failing to save our girl's mother, while Chen just tilts her head in heartbreaking confusion. The somber moment is cut short when Chen spots something strange flying through the air. It's Kathy. Our girl is thrilled to see a familiar face, but the vibe is suddenly very, very wrong. Before anyone can react, a sharp spike pierces right through the scene, turning a happy reunion into a total disaster. Kathy's eyes widen in pure desperation as she screams out for you. She's caught in the middle of a chaotic blast, wings flared and ready for the worst. But our girl Yu swoops in just in time, offering a sweet long time no see while Kathy looks on with teary eyes. Of course, the local trash villain has to ruin the moment, calling their bond disgusting while launching a sneak attack. Before he can land a hit, little Chen jumps in, trapping the villain in a glowing binding spell that leaves him completely frozen. He tries to slash his way out, but he's met with a savage counterattack that leaves him bleeding and swearing in frustration. This coward tries to teleport away like a typical low-tier mob, but a whip-wielding queen shuts that down immediately. He's absolutely fuming now, baring his teeth, but Chen isn't even slightly intimidated and leaps into the air for a finishing blow. She comes down with the force of a meteor, creating a massive explosion that buries the villain deep into the dirt. Just when they think it's over, a dark, shadowy hand lunges out of the crater and grabs our poor Chen by the throat. The villain is looking totally unhinged, threatening to strangle her to death if anyone takes another step. But Chen just stares at him with the most iconic "Are you serious right now?" expression while he starts to realize something is very wrong. Our tiny savage pulls a massive hammer out of thin air and delivers a soul-crushing blow right to his face. The girls can only watch in silence as the villain is turned into a pancake, and Chen gets a head pat for being a naughty but effective little bodyguard. Chen just gives a cheeky smirk, reminding everyone that you can't exactly kill someone who's already dead. The demon girl thinks she's got the upper hand, screaming for our girl to become her slave as she launches a flurry of ice. But our blonde queen is as calm as a cucumber, reciting a mantra that would make any monk proud. She summons a massive golden defender that towers over the battlefield, leaving the little demon absolutely shook that a mere mortal is fighting back. Our heroine smirks, thanking the high demons for sending such a generous gift right to her doorstep. Infuriated, the demon girl doubles down, combining her magic into a massive, freezing blizzard. She dives headfirst into the golden giant, determined to shatter its defenses with a single blow. With a scream of die, she slams her ice spear directly into the giant's head. The golden armor begins to crack under the pressure of the freezing strike. It looks like the Guardian is falling apart, but our girl is just standing there, looking like she's waiting for her tea to brew. The demon girl goes for the final blow, only for our savage heroine to block the entire strike with nothing but a paper fan. Before the demon can even blink, our girl reaches out and grabs her, completely catching the poor girl off guard. In a flash, the demon is wrapped up like a Christmas present in golden seals, while our girl gloats about her absolute invincibility. Now, our heroine is playing detective, hanging the demon upside down from a tree to get some basic info. The demon girl is fuming, screaming that playing dirty doesn't count and demanding a rematch. Our girl just gives her a polite smile before letting off a massive blast just to remind her who's in charge. She asks for the name one more time, and honestly, the patience on our girl is legendary. After a quick threat about destroying her clothes in a real fight, the demon finally breaks and mumbles her name, Demoness. Our girl starts writing it down, but the ground begins to shake with a terrifying intensity. A massive purple energy surge erupts from the mountains as the rest of the squad realizes things are about to get chaotic. A sinister smile spreads across a mysterious face. The Emperor is finally making his grand return. The mountains are literally erupting with purple chaos, and our blonde beauty knows she's in deep trouble. She quickly scoops up the little devil girl, who's currently having a total tsundere meltdown about a mortal daring to touch her. Our heroine sighs, worried she smells after traveling so long, but the little devil is secretly swooning over her scent while pretending to be disgusted. With a savage smirk, our girl reminds the brat that she was the one who got close first, leaving the tied-up devil to scream about how much she hates mortals. Despite the adorable chibi devil threatening to peel her tendons and deep fry her, our girl just gives her a peaceful, chaotic smile. She asks if it's really a loss to humiliate her before leaning in for a sudden, heart-stopping kiss. The world practically blooms with lilies as the devil girl is left completely paralyzed and trembling in total shock. Our girl just shrugs it off, casually wondering if her kissing technique has gotten rusty while the devil girl is left speechless. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad finds a safe spot to watch the eruption while Kong Lin tries to keep the vibe serious. She drops a massive lore bomb, explaining that the defeated demon emperor is actually sealed right under that mountain. While the adults worry about the emperor rising again and destroying their peaceful life, the little ones are just bored to death by the history lesson. The kids decide to go play instead of listening to the heavy talk about why immortals are suddenly helping the demon's side. Kong Lin gets heated over how these arrogant immortals are being used as pawns for fairy pets. While the kids literally bite and scratch each other in the background, Kong Lin realizes a mysterious organization is recruiting demons for something sinister. They suspect a secret benefactor is funding these expensive summonings, while the Chibis continue their chaotic rolling match in the dirt. Finally, the group decides to part ways, with Yu heading to the demon cavern to rescue her master while the kids promise a legendary rematch. Our girl tries to reconnect with Kathy, hoping to find their master and seniors nearby. But Kathy is giving her the ultimate cold shoulder, making the atmosphere awkward as they stop to rest. Our heroine is sweating bullets, wondering if Kathy is secretly pouting because she was left behind. She pours her heart out in a dramatic apology, but Kathy suddenly collapses like she's lost all will to live. Panic mode activated, our poor heroine is wailing, thinking Kathy is actually at death's door. Plot twist, Kathy wasn't dying, she was just starving, and a kind frog lady has stepped in to save the day. Our girl realizes she totally overthought the drama while Kathy focuses on the only thing that matters, a mountain of rice. After Kathy clears out the entire kitchen, Mrs. Frog gets emotional, remembering her own son, Little Fu. Turns out, Little Fu was the late bloomer of the pond who couldn't even lose his tadpole tail. The local bullies were absolute savages, literally using the poor guy as a football because they didn't have a real one. It's a total sob story as Little Fu gets kicked around until his mom finally chases the punks away. Heartbroken by the constant bullying, Little Fu eventually left the village to find his own way in the world. Feeling for the mom, Kathy decides it's time for a side quest to find the missing son. They track him down to a cavern the next day, but the gatekeeper is acting suspiciously dismissive. That is, until the little son shows up, and he is definitely not the tiny tadpole they were expecting. Little Fu clearly spent his time away hitting the demon gym because the man is absolutely shredded now. The massive guy is absolutely not feeling the vibe and refuses to leave. Our girl Kathy tries to lay down the law, telling him his mom wants him home for dinner, but he's just being a stubborn brat. He cracks his knuckles, demanding a duel before he even considers moving an inch. Suddenly, sharp feathers whistle through the air, stopping the chaos in its tracks as a new player enters the game. This elegant stranger invites our girls inside his tavern to settle things like civilized people. He plays the perfect host, serving up tea and apologies for Fu's barbaric behavior. But as soon as our poor heroine takes a sip, her world starts spinning, realizing too late that the tea was spiked. Yu wakes up on a pile of hay, her head throbbing as Kathy frantically tries to get her to open her eyes. They're locked in a room guarded by a glowing magic seal, and it turns out their host is actually a savage bandit. Kathy tries to break through, but the barrier zaps her back, leaving our girls feeling totally helpless. To keep their spirits up while trapped, Yu pulls the little one close for some much-needed comfort. Since they have nothing but time, Yu asks Kathy to spill some tea about her mysterious sister. We flash back to the icy peaks where a majestic dragon soars through the clouds. She spots something shiny below, but instead of a gem, she finds a weird little egg that's already starting to hatch. Out pops this adorable little shadow creature who immediately decides the dragon is its mother. The dragon isn't looking for a kid and flies off, leaving the poor baby crying on a cold cliffside. The little one tries to follow and falls, but the dragon swoops in at the last second to save the tiny troublemaker. She warns the baby to call her sister or else, finally accepting her new annoying shadow. Our girl looks on as Demoness seems to be hitting a total emotional breaking point. But instead of a breakdown, she triggers a massive transformation that has the room glowing with raw power. A colossal ice dragon suddenly towers over everything, revealing its true, terrifying form as the Master of Snow. The dragon, Kenyuter, declares that the contract is sealed, and she is now bound to our heroine's command forever. Our girl is low-key obsessed and asks if this giant beast is really her Dini, prompting the dragon to shrink back into her sassy demon form. Dini is absolutely fuming, screaming at our girl to stop thinking such nasty and disrespectful things. It turns out the contract allows them to share thoughts, and our heroine is already using it to be a total menace. Dini shrieks for her to shut her brain down, but our girl just gives her a savage, teasing smirk. Meanwhile, the cloaking spells are starting to fail for the rest of the group as they're cornered by a massive guard. A tiny bird starts chirping about betrayal, making Big Fu look like he's in some serious hot water. Lady Nai, a high demon chief, steps out and demands to know why her loyal servant is acting so suspicious. Fu tries to play the nostalgia card, reminding her how they built this tavern together brick by brick. He begs her to return to making food honestly, but Lady Nai coldly insists that those peaceful times are dead and buried. She claims their food doesn't bring joy anymore, but our red-haired girl shouts back that the meal was actually fire, even if they were drugged. Lady Nai isn't having any of it and tells them to get lost, claiming the tavern's fate is none of their business. The girls are left standing in the rain, watching as the chief retreats back into her lonely, crumbling restaurant. Kathy and Yu can't stand seeing the restaurant empty, so they offer their services to Lady Nai, who is more than happy to accept the help. Lady Nai's eyes light up with a devious plan as she leads them straight to the dressing room. She's smelling the profit already, but our girls have no idea what they've signed up for until the big reveal. Boom, it's a maid cafe makeover, and Lady Nai is literally shoving them out the door to reel in the marks. Even the massive Fu is forced into the theme, though he's relegated to the kitchen to avoid traumatizing the public. Kathy takes the job way too seriously, basically hunting down customers with the aggressive power of her own appetite. Yu watches in awe as Kathy's pure love for food turns her into the ultimate high-energy promoter. She's got that don't mess with my lunch glare down to a science. But across the street at Eastern Paradise, the rival boss isn't happy about the competition and decides it's time to squash this cockroach once and for all. Oblivious to the looming sabotage, Yu puts on her best smile to welcome a passing traveler into the shop. The guest is totally charmed by the cute girls, but she nearly jumps out of her skin when she sees the absolute unit of a maid working the counter. Kathy keeps the charm offensive going with some tea, but the peace is shattered by a bear man throwing a violent tantrum for his food. He's hangry and demanding his eel rice right this second, sending our poor heroine into a frantic rush. Disaster strikes as Yu takes a tumble, sending the expensive meal flying onto the floor in a tragic mess. The bear starts roaring about the wasted meal, but he shuts up real quick when a massive, terrifying shadow looms over him. One look at Fu's murderous customer service face is enough to turn this tough guy into a trembling, obedient mess. Our girl is officially a student at Monster High, trying her best to blend in while learning the literal anatomy of demon snakes. But when the teacher explains how tails turn into legs, our heroine decides it's the perfect time to raise her hand for a very specific inquiry. She drops a bombshell question about demon snake hygiene that leaves the poor teacher absolutely betrayed and speechless. Not getting her answer in class, she heads straight to the vet room, where Vet Foxy gives her a much more graphic biology lesson than she bargained for. Our girl is a dedicated scholar, walking through the grounds while buried in her notes until she senses someone watching from above. High up on the roof sits a mysterious girl with horns, looking down with a heavy, intense gaze. Suddenly, massive black wings unfurl, blocking out the sun as the stranger prepares to make her grand entrance. She lands right in front of our heroine, claiming she's finally found her, but the vibe is way more dramatic than expected. Instead of being intimidated, our girl's brain stays on the science track, realizing that if this girl has wings, she must have a bird-like anatomy too. Switching gears to her part-time job, our heroine is working hard at a maid cafe, serving up a delicious roasted eel to a very grumpy-looking bear. One bite is all it takes for the bear to have a full-on religious experience, his eyes sparkling with pure, unadulterated joy. He's practically weeping from the flavor, feeling like he's ascended to heaven, which immediately causes a stampede of hungry customers. The kitchen is chaotic and the pressure is on, but the peace is shattered when a customer slams their hand down in a rage. This picky elf customer is throwing a fit because her tea is cold, and our poor heroine can only offer a nervous apology. The customer keeps being a total brat, but Cassie isn't about to let her friend get bullied and demands the cup back with a terrifying look. Kathy isn't just going back to the kitchen, she summons a massive, glowing magic circle right there in the middle of the cafe. While our heroine watches in pure horror, Cassie decides the best way to heat a drink is to literally drop a fireball directly into it. She hands the steaming, chaotic cup back to the stunned customer, proving that service with a smile sometimes comes with a side of magical aggression. The competition is heating up as the rivals plot to steal the spotlight with their grand reopening. They're launching a massive Immortals vs Demons event just to drive our girl's canteen out of business. Back at the shop, the staff is bragging about their hard work until Lady Nice steps in to keep them in check. But she's not a total ice queen, handing out red envelopes to celebrate their successful day before the girls head out for some fun. Kathy is in a total rush, dragging you along because she's got a list of treats a mile long she wants to buy. Our sweet Kathy reveals she wants to spend her very first paycheck on the person who matters most to her. Yue is absolutely swooning, her heart doing backflips as she tries to hide her blushing face. Kathy even admits she's been practicing her magic just so she can help Yue without accidentally burning any more houses down. Suddenly, they stumble upon a flashy announcer shouting about the grand competition next door. Yue reminds her they can't support the enemy, but the second Kathy hears the words free food, her brain short-circuits. They try to stay loyal to their own tavern, but the announcer starts listing a menu so delicious it's basically a direct attack on their willpower. Our poor heroine is literally trembling and drooling, her stomach screaming for a taste of that free feast. She tries to act tough, reminding herself that they're supposed to be mortal enemies with these people. But then she hits you with some savage logic. If they eat every single thing the rivals have, they'll actually be helping to bankrupt the competition. In the middle of their chaotic plan, Kathy gets sentimental, asking why Yue is always so incredibly kind to her. A massive feast is laid out as the next round of this chaotic competition begins. While our poor heroine's allies argue over who's actually hungry, the blonde guy realizes it's all up to him and his bag of tricks to save the day. The clock is ticking, and you can't believe she's witnessing this absolute madness. The eating round kicks off with zero grace, as everyone from pink pigs to skeletons starts inhaling food like there's no tomorrow. By the time the hourglass runs out, the contestants are looking absolutely wrecked and ready to burst from the gluttony. But one tiny demon girl refuses to stop, literally stuffing her face until the announcer has to physically intervene. She's practically dragged off the stage as the demons are declared the winners of this savage round. The pink-haired demon queen can't help but mock the tied-up master shanking, proving she's just as petty as she is beautiful. She eventually lets him off the hook, though he's still shaking from the pure disrespect. Meanwhile, deep in the palace, a mysterious and incredibly bored lord listens to reports about the games. He spent 12 years in lockup and is dying for some real entertainment that isn't totally mid. When he hears about an immortal who turned her mate into the undead, his interest finally peaks. He spots something in the distance and flashes a terrifyingly sharp grin. It looks like things are finally getting interesting for him. Back at the arena, our girl is focused on the demon emperor the oppressor, but her friend is just happy to show off her victory flowers. She zooms through the crowd like a pink blur, desperate to find her favorite person and brag. But the celebration is cut short when she realizes Yue has completely vanished from her seat, leaving only questions behind. The flowers fall as the announcer calls for the next round, a high-stakes drinking contest. Since his partner refuses to touch the bottle, our blonde hero has to step up and handle the booze. He's got a secret technique, though, using his psychic powers to shoot the alcohol straight out of his fingertips to stay sober. It's a total win for the immortals, and he tries to flex his victory to Liu Yi. But the trickling effect from his hands looks a little too suspicious, and Liu Yi is absolutely disgusted by the sight. Before he can even explain the misunderstanding, A massive bolt of divine lightning strikes him down for being a total creep. The stakes are sky high as this fox lady demands everyone get ready for a game where losing means a lifetime of servitude. Our boy Liu Yi is losing his mind because the rules are clearly rigged, making it impossible for him to win. She smugly points out that while it's immortals versus demons, there was never a rule about how many demons could join the dog pile. Our poor sidekicks are already sobbing, picturing their miserable future as glorified house slaves. Lai Ergu tries to keep the vibe serious, telling the others to have a little faith in Liu Yi's main character energy. Apparently, Liu Yi's luck is so legendary he once won an entire mountain and a mansion in a single bet. But the demons think he's finally snapped when he puts his money on the number 7. Everyone knows a standard die only goes up to 6, so they're basically calling him a dead man walking. The dealer starts shaking the cup and the tension is thick enough to cut with a spirit sword. We get a glimpse into the past, proving this kid's tiny hand has been printing money since he was a trainee. The demons are screaming out their numbers, convinced victory is in the bag. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the entire building, sending the whole room into a state of pure chaos. As the dust settles, the crowd is shaking in their boots, wondering if the place is suddenly haunted. Word reaches the room that a massive fight is breaking out in the backyard with the demon emperor. Amidst the madness, the dice cup finally shatters to reveal the impossible. One of the dice literally split in half to show both a 6 and a 1, totaling a perfect 7. Our crew is absolutely losing it with joy because they're officially off the hook. The fox lady admits he's got skills, but she's not backing down yet since the score is tied at 2-all. She tells them to head to the backyard for the final savage showdown that will decide their fate once and for all.